This one we're working on solving this equation, and it's got two matrices in here. What we're trying to find out is what the value of m is. Now, if I gave you an equation, let's go with kind of a different one just for a moment, just so I can illustrate what we're going to be doing here. If I gave you an equation that was like this, it was some number equals another number minus 2m, which is similar to what this one is. Because we're going to solve these in the same fashion, what we would do here, let's see, I have a positive 4 here that I need to get rid of, and what we're basically trying to do is isolate this m. So what I'm going to basically do is subtract 4 from both sides. If I subtract 4 from both sides, that will help me to isolate this m. 10 minus 4 is 6. Then I've got 6 equals negative 2m. This is negative 2 times n, so I'm going to divide both sides by negative 2. Now, and that's not this exact problem here, but we're going to solve it in a similar fashion. The first thing that we did here was we got this component here onto the other side. In this case, it's a matrix here. We're going to try to get that matrix on the other side. So what we're going to do is subtract this matrix from both sides. Okay, we got to get it out of this side, and in order to keep the equation equivalent to what it is right now and not change its value at all, we'd have to do it to both sides. So we're going to subtract that from both sides. So we'll do that now, and all I basically did is subtract it from this side. That's going to cancel out. Then I'd have to subtract it from this side too, so you'll notice that my equal sign moved over a little bit here. Okay, so what we've got here is I've got a 2 by 2 matrix, and I'm subtracting a 2 by 2 matrix. So what we need to do is simplify these two into one single matrix. And the way that we'll do that is it's a 2 by 2 minus a 2 by 2, so our answer is going to be a 2 by 2 matrix. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to combine the terms in the same position together. So this one's in the upper left, and this one's in the upper left. So we're going to combine those two together. 8, and we've got to take into account the subtraction sign here. 8 minus negative 2. So I'll write that right here. Both of these are in the upper left. I'm going to write my answer right here in the upper left-hand corner as well. Okay, so 8 minus negative 2 would turn into a 10. So I'm just going to rewrite that there, 10, and that's going to stay in the upper left-hand corner. Now we're going to switch. Now we're going to the upper right-hand corner, 0 minus negative 6. And I'll write that right here in the upper right-hand corner. And let's see, 0 minus negative 6, minus negative turns into a positive, so that's going to be a 6. And I'm going to fill that in my upper right-hand corner on this one, okay? Now let's go down here on the bottom right, or bottom left. I've got a 14 minus 0 in the bottom left over here, so I'm going to write my answer in the bottom left here. So 14 minus 0 is, let's see, 14 minus 0 is 14, so I'm going to write that right here in the bottom left. Then I've got my bottom right, I've got negative 16 minus 2, and these are both in my bottom right, so I'm going to write that over here. Negative 16 minus 2 is negative 18. So you'll see that here. Okay, so now I've reduced this now. Now I've got negative 2m, negative 2 times m is equal to all of this. So in order to find out what my value of m is, I have to divide both sides by negative 2. So I'll do that next, divide both sides by negative 2. Now, essentially what I'm going to do is divide each of these components here by negative 2, and then I'm just going to rewrite what their answers are here. Okay, so let's take it one at a time. My first one is this one. I've got 10 divided by negative 2, 10 divided by negative 2, and I'm just going to write that in just like that. Let's see, 10 divided by negative 2 is negative 5, so I'll write that right here in the upper left. Notice all of these are staying in the same position. My negative 10 was in the upper left. This is my work on that, and then my simplified answer to it is in the upper left as well. Okay, we'll go to the next one. 6 divided by negative 2. 6 divided by negative 2 would give us negative 3, so I'll write my answer in the upper right-hand corner because that's where my 6 was. Then I've got a 14 divided by negative 2. 14 divided by negative 2 is going to give me an answer of negative 7. So I'll do that right here, and that will stay in the bottom left-hand corner. Then I've got negative 18 divided by negative 2. Negative 18 divided by negative 2 should give me a positive 9 as my answer. So this is my answer here. I've reduced it all the way. I find out what m equals. M is equal to this matrix exactly in that order. But I solve it just similar to I would a normal equation. From here I have to subtract that from both sides. Then I divide by negative 2 to get my simplified answer.